You know what keeps me up at night? The idea that 95 years of wages, an absolutely massive fortune, could be entrusted to someone who completely squanders it. That's exactly what we see in these fascinating parables about readiness and responsibility.
That's such an interesting way to look at it. How do these ancient stories about talents and wedding feasts connect to modern life?
Well, let's break down these three parables from Matthew 25. The first one about the 10 virgins really hits home. All of them knew the bridegroom was coming, but half of them weren't truly prepared when he arrived at midnight.
And what's particularly striking is that on the surface, they all look the same. They all had lamps, they all waited, they all fell asleep.
Right. But that one crucial difference of having extra oil made all the difference between being welcomed in or being locked out forever. And here's what's fascinating. When the foolish virgins tried to solve their problem, at the last minute, it was already too late.
So it's really about deeper preparation than just showing up, isn't it?
Exactly. And then we get to this incredible parable about the talents, where even the smallest amount given was equivalent to 19 years of wages. The servant with 5 talents was handling nearly a century's worth of earnings.
That really puts things in perspective when we think about what we've been entrusted with today.
And notice how the master gave different amounts according to their ability. He knew exactly what each servant could handle. The judgment wasn't about the quantity they were given, but about their faithfulness with whatever they had.
You know what's interesting? The master's response to both faithful servants was identical, regardless of how much they started with.
Then we come to this final parable about the sheep and goats, which really drives home the practical implications. Instead of focusing on religious ceremonies or grand achievements, Jesus defines faithfulness through simple acts of compassion.
Well, that's unexpected. Both groups seemed completely surprised by the judgment. They had no idea they were serving or neglecting Christ himself through their actions.
Look at the specific examples: feeding the hungry, giving drink to the thirsty, welcoming strangers, clothing the naked, caring for the sick, visiting prisoners. These aren't complicated theological concepts. They're practical expressions of love anyone can do.
So, these parables together create this comprehensive picture of spiritual readiness. But what do you think it means for us today?
Well, in our world of instant gratification and short term thinking, these parables call us to take the long view. They show us that our choices today have eternal consequences. Even small acts of faithfulness matter deeply.
That's quite different from how most people approach life today.
You know what's fascinating? These parables actually challenge 3 common misconceptions: that spiritual readiness is just about showing up, that we don't have enough resources to make a difference, and that faith is primarily about religious activities rather than practical love.
And there's this urgency throughout all three stories. No second chances once the moment of truth arrives.
Right. The foolish virgins couldn't borrow oil. The unfaithful servant couldn't undo his inaction. And the goats couldn't reverse their judgment. But here's the encouraging part: these aren't just warnings, they're invitations to live with purpose and joy.
That reminds me of how the faithful servants were invited to share in their master's happiness.
Exactly. And in a world that's increasingly focused on individual achievement, these parables remind us that true success isn't measured by what we accumulate, but by how faithfully we use what we've been given to serve others.
So it's really about transforming our perspective on everything we have and do.
And that's the key takeaway. These aren't just ancient stories, they're a blueprint for living with eternal perspective while being fully engaged in the present moment. Every act of faithfulness, every gesture of kindness, every moment of stewardship matters more than we can imagine.